And I would now like to introduce the Irish Minister for Education and Skills, Mr. Rory Quinn. Mr. Quinn is a member of the Irish Labor Party. He has served in 6 different government departments, including as Minister for Finance. He is passionate about delivering high-quality education, something that he shares with everyone in this room, and I'm very pleased to invite him to give our opening address.
Good morning to you all. You respond like real teachers. Truly, it gives me great pleasure as Minister for Education and Skills to be here today to open Education International's 2nd World Women's Conference. And President, I very much appreciate your references to Rosie Hackett and the fact that the bridge, which is near completion, will be named in her honour. I would like to welcome you all to Dublin with the traditional Irish welcome of Céad Míle Fáilte, or 100,000 welcomes. Despite your busy programme, I hope that you will have some time to enjoy the city during your visit. The theme of today's conference is Women in Trade Unions and in Education, from words to action. During my remarks, I would like to outline some of the steps that the Irish Government is taking to promote gender equality here in Ireland. I also want to address a few other issues around gender equality in education, and in particular, gender equality in the leadership of education. All of you here today are aware of the importance of education as a means of promoting gender equality around the world. Many women have dedicated their lives to educating the next generations and have been important role models for others. It is timely to draw attention to the continuing underrepresentation of women in leadership roles in education and to address career progression of those women. In Ireland, the programme for government, which was negotiated between the 2 successful political parties after the last general election, my own party, the Labour Party, and that of Fine Gael, which will be a member of the European People's Party. The programme for government contains a number of commitments to foster the achievement of gender equality. That programme includes a commitment to legislate to force political parties to adopt gender quotas or to lose up to half of their state funding if they do not do so. That legislation was passed in 2012 and will see a 30% gender quota in place for all political parties at the next general election. Within 7 years of that point, the quota will rise to 40%, representing a very significant national effort to increase the number of women in politics and in public life. Our programme for government also commits to ensuring that all state boards have membership that is at least 40% women. In truth, more must be done to achieve that national target, though I will return to the issue of the state boards in the education system shortly. Delegates, last year our Constitutional Convention made recommendations for amendments to our Constitution to amend the clause which refers to the role of women and mothers in the home. This was a constitution that was written in the 1930s and reflects both the prejudices and the ethos of that time. This government today has accepted that recommendation, and it is working to find the most appropriate wording to put before the people in a referendum to amend the Constitution. All of this work is being coordinated through the National Women's Strategy, which aims for the advancement of women in all aspects of Irish society. The spirit of Rosie Hackett is alive and well. We in Ireland are very conscious of the positive impact that our membership of the European Union and other international bodies has had on our equality legislation over the years here in this country. But we must never sit back and wait for directives from Europe, or indeed elsewhere, to force us to move towards gender equality itself. Within education, policy is formulated in the broader context of overall gender equality policies. I have mentioned the important role that many women have played as role models within education. Of course, in order to have such role models, we have to ensure that all women and girls have access to education in the first place. It is, sadly, a sobering indictment of our society internationally that an estimated 775 million adults worldwide remain illiterate in this year, 2014. This is despite the many initiatives of the UN and other international bodies. More relevant to today's discussions is the fact that two-thirds of those adults, over 500 million people, 500 million people, are in fact women. As the world's largest federation of unions, Education International, with 30 million education employees in 400 organisations, has a vital role to play in addressing these two frightening statistics. Once we have ensured fair access to education for girls and boys, it is important that we continue to encourage them to progress through all levels available to them. Positive messages are necessary to encourage female students from their earliest entry at primary level to believe in their own ability and to strive to play an equal part in the world. It is important that subject choices for all are as wide as possible and that girls are facilitated to participate in the full range of subject options in their schools. In this way, I believe we can ensure that their choice of courses and of university level or career choices are not limited in any way. For example, I recently introduced measures to encourage the study of mathematics at senior levels in our schools. This resulted in a 37% increase in girls taking higher level mathematics in 2012, a very welcome improvement. In Ireland, recent statistics show that 58% of women aged 30 to 34 have a third level qualification compared to 44% of men in the same age group. However, certain sectors of the graduate population are heavily feminised, with almost 80% of health and welfare graduates being female, as against 17% in engineering. These are our statistics. I don't think they will necessarily surprise you, but they're statistics that we want to change. I mentioned the introduction of gender quotas for election earlier. I also believe that increasing the amount of time for political education at school will help us to encourage all young women to believe that they can play a role in politics and also in public life. The amount of time devoted to civil, social and political education is being increased for 12 to 15-year-olds under the new Junior Cycle Students' Awards. The introduction of a new politics and society subject for senior cycle of post-primary schools will build upon this improvement. Turning now to the area of women in leadership and education, it is clear that there is also a long way to go to achieve gender equality. I'm particularly conscious of the pyramid of exclusion, whereby the higher you go in decision-making hierarchies, the greater the deficit of women's participation and input. Women account for about 85% of teachers at primary level in Irish schools and over 60% in our post-primary system, aged from 12 to 18. However, only 53% of school leadership positions at primary level are held by women, and only 41% at post-primary level. The situation is more pronounced in our higher education sector, where women constitute almost 43% of academic staff, but represent only 19% at professorial level. We cannot be complacent about this issue, and we must develop specific policies needed to ensure gender equality at all levels of our education system. It is important that investigation and research is carried out to allow us to identify what these specific policies might actually be. In this respect, I note that work has been carried out in many of our education institutions to raise awareness of gender inequality and how it might be tackled. For example, University College Cork, Trinity College Dublin, and the University of Limerick all have research projects underway in this area. Of course, these issues are not unique to Ireland. You know that very well yourself. And I look forward to hearing from you ideas which will inevitably emerge today, which will help us to pursue our gender equality here in Ireland. Indeed, the issue of gender equality, as I've already noted, is not unique to educational institutions. I'm pleased to note that the need for greater female participation in the leadership positions of education trade unions is being addressed at this conference. I see in the audience many of the women from Irish education unions who will be able to share their experiences, women who have played a central role in defending their members and in shaping public policy in Ireland over recent years. For my own part, I am determined to deliver in the education sector on our commitment that all state boards have a membership that includes at least 40% of women. 45% of new appointees to such boards in 45% of new appointees to such boards in 2013 were women, and I hope to achieve that overall target by the end of this year. So delegates, let me conclude. The delegates in this room have between them a wealth of experience and ideas from around the globe on how to address these issues. May I commend your work. And may I also commend the educational unions from Ireland for hosting such a significant event in the global education calendar. I will conclude by quoting the words of Mary Robinson, the first woman President of Ireland, who has addressed this topic on many, many occasions. And she said, and I quote, "In a society where the rights and potential of women are constrained, no man can be truly free. He may have power, but he will not have freedom." Thank you very much indeed.